Welcome. You are in the lab room. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. Week number 17, National Football League. The finish line is here. Week 17. This is what you play for. A chance to go to the postseason. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are hosting the Cleveland Browns, AFC North, family business. The equation was never simple for the Steelers. You dug yourself a hole. You started the season 0-4. People left you for dead, including myself. I'm going to raise my hand. Hey, I'll be the first to tell you when I'm right. I'll also be the first to tell you when I was wrong. And I said, this team, no way you dig yourself out of a hole. And I also said in the same breath, go back, check the archives, that a Pittsburgh Steelers team coached by Mike Tomlin, I can't count out until you officially tell me they're eliminated from postseason contention. I did say that. But in the same breath, I also said, you don't have to tell me that they're eliminated officially. They're eliminated officially because they're not making the postseason. So I said that you can't count these guys out because they're the Steelers. But at the same time, the way they started this season, no way that they're going to have hopes of making the postseason. So to have a chance in Week 17 to be playing meaningful football for this Steelers team is absolutely amazing on so many different levels. I can't even begin to peel back each and every single level and explain to you that in Week 17, for this team to be 7-8 with a chance to get to 500 and still make the postseason being a reality, it's almost unfathomable because of how bad they started this season, how many teams around them have to lose in Week 16 and did and had to lose in Week 17 to even give them a shot. But before all of that stuff could come into play, you got to beat the Cleveland Browns at home in week number 17. Let's break this game down. If you're the Browns, you're on a 6-game losing streak. You're on a 7-game losing streak. You were once 4-5 in this season. Remember that? Remember when you were out of first place by 1 game and you were 4-5? Hell, remember when you were in first place in this division at 3-2? Billy Ho was playing good football. Man, does that seem like an eternity ago? Now, we fast forward to week 17. You're 4-11. All of a sudden, reports are that Rob Chudzinski could be on the hot seat. What? What? He could be what? Isn't this his first season as head coach in Cleveland? He could be what? Yeah. We'll talk about that a little bit later, though. Let's get to this game. Steelers at 7-8. Come into this game, and you got to win, and then you need a lot of things to happen. We'll talk about that at the end of this one, but just win. That's the first business at hand. You don't win, forget about all the scenarios that you need to unfold and play themselves out. You got to win first. So they come into this game, and right away, you could sense that this Browns team was defeated. But the Steelers still needed to go out and take this football game. It's AFC North family business. What happens in the family stays in the family. You know how that goes. So you got to take this game. The Browns aren't going to give you anything. So the Steelers go up and they get the touchdown to start this game 7-0. Browns had opportunities in this game. I mean, they really did. 3 trips, and this is the story of the game. This is the story of their season right here. I mean, this is enough to really sum up this game in a nutshell. Browns have 3 trips into Steelers territory. I'm not just talking about crossing midfield. I'm not talking about inside the 40. I'm talking about 3 meaningful trips into Steelers territory where points are probably, I want to say, all but guaranteed if you just kick a field goal. I mean, they were in field goal range. We're not talking about just crossing midfield. These possessions really got deep into Steelers territory. 3 of them, okay? 2 in the first half, 1 later on in the second half. But 3 possessions deep into Steelers territory, and you subsequently go first, 4th down conversion. No. You go for it on 4th down. You have a wide open Cooper. He drops the football. You turn it over on downs. Okay. Look, I get it. You're 4-11. It's week 17. What are you kicking a field goal for? I get it. Field goals don't win games. Touchdowns do. I get it. I'm not mad at you for that. Catch the football. Catch the football. Okay. So you don't get anything out of that. You drive deep into Steelers territory again. Jason Campbell is hit from behind. He fumbles the football. It's recovered by the Steelers. You get nothing. Okay? So that's 2 trips into Steelers territory where points are probably going to be put on the scoreboard if you decide to kick a field goal or maybe even a touchdown if you can get it down there. You don't get anything. So that's 2 possessions into Steelers territory, nothing to show for it. Later on in the second half, you go for it again on 4th down. This time, I want to say it's 4th and 1. You get stopped. I mean, that was the type of day it was for the Cleveland Browns in this game. Steelers, again, they weren't earth-shattering in this game, but they never have been this season. They've always done enough to win games that they were supposed to win and lose games that they were supposed to lose. And in this game, it was no different. They jump out to a 20-0 lead. And again, they do it very methodically. They had opportunities to put this game away, but they never really could. But you never felt threatened by the Browns in this game because of the mistakes they made, whether it was a turnover on downs or a turnover by forcing Jason Campbell into some mistakes. They could have picked off some passes in this game, and they didn't. But at the end of the day, the Steelers did enough to win this football game. Another strong performance by Le'Veon Bell. I was wrong about him. Again, let me raise my hand and admit that I was wrong. You go back and you check out my draft recap for this Steelers team in 2013. And I was a little disappointed by the pick of Le'Veon Bell when a guy like, I forgot the running back from UCLA's name, but he was around, and there were guys. I wasn't mad that you didn't pick Eddie Lacy. I was mad that you didn't get a guy with some speed that you could put in that backfield. But Le'Veon Bell has come in, and he has shown why the Steelers spent that early pick in the 2nd round on him. He was worthy. He's a really good back. He can catch it out of the backfield. He can run. He's explosive, more explosive than I thought he was going to be. He's proven to be well worth that pick that the Steelers spent on him. And he had another strong, impressive game, had a touchdown run. And the Steelers get it done 20-7 in this game. They get to 8-8. They do their part in trying to make it to the postseason. Now they need a lot of help. Let's talk about the Browns, and we'll come back to the Steelers here in a second. If you're the Browns, this is your 7th consecutive loss after being 4-5 on the season. You dropped 7 consecutive games, finish up the season at 4-12, and reports were surfacing that Rob Chizzinski could be fired at season's end, and to me that was mind-boggling. To go out and get this guy, to say that you feel like you've got the right coach in place to build this thing up the right way, and then after 1 season of work, to be that disappointed in him and the way the season went, to say, you're done, we don't like the direction this franchise is going in, to me just seems like a team that doesn't really understand what it takes to build a winner. Now, I will say this. You did it wrong the first time anyway, okay? The way to do this thing, when you get a new head coach, when you blow it all up, which the Browns did last season, when you blow it all up and you start over from scratch, meaning you need a new GM, you need a head coach, you need a new staff, all of that good stuff, you got to get the GM first. That's always the way to do it. You get the GM first, then you get the head coach. When you do it the other way around, these are the type of things that can happen, okay? So you go out last year and you go and get Rob Chizzinski, and then you come back about a month later and decide, hey, we're going to bring Michael Lombardi on as our general manager. Okay, fine, that's cool, but you did it backwards, because guess what? At the end of the day, the GM is going to look at it one of 2 ways. One, hey, I can win with this guy. Let's move forward with the coach that you've given me, that I inherited. 2, that's not my guy, and if I'm going to get fired, let me get fired with my stuff. That's always the way head coaches feel. That's always the way GMs feel. Head coaches always feel that way about quarterbacks. Hey, if I'm going down, let me go down with my guy at quarterback. And that's the way GMs feel. Hey, if I'm going down, let me go down with my guy, my stuff as a head coach. And so Michael Lombardi came into this situation already being given a head coach. Well, the way he looks at it, hey, if we don't get it done this year, I want to start over. I don't want this guy as my coach. I didn't handpick him as my head coach. Let me find my guy, my guy that can get it done here, not someone else's guy that I didn't help pick. I wasn't in the room when this decision was made to bring in Chudzinski. Let me find my guy. So you knew if this thing went south quickly in 2013, there could be a chance. But who really saw this one coming? This was the biggest surprise to me of all the head coaches that could potentially be on the hot seat, that did get fired, that will get fired on Black Monday. This was the one that caught me off guard. I didn't see this one coming. And I think Joe Thomas summed it up well when he said, good franchises don't fire their head coaches after one season. I think that is it in a nutshell. I mean, unless there was a mutiny against Rob Chudzinski in the locker room, guys quit, guys spoke out about him, against him publicly, unless that was going on and he did some things that rubbed management the wrong way in conjunction with losing the locker room, then there's no reason to make this move. This move is inexplicable. You can't explain this to me and make me feel good about this if I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. But I just explained to you why this is happening. You went about this the wrong way the first time around when you hired him before the GM. Now you got the GM in there and Michael Lombardi. He wants to get a guy in there that he's more comfortable with. Again, if I'm getting fired, let me go down with my guy. And so, you know, Michael Lombardi comes from that Bill Belichick Patriots tree. And so he's going to want to go get one of those guys, whether it be a Josh McDaniels or Bill O'Brien. He wants one of those guys from that Belichick tree. Don't be surprised if that's the direction that the Browns go in when making this head coaching change. But Chudzinski's out. It's amazing that 16 games later, we find ourselves back here with the Browns looking for another head coach. I don't think this search is going to last very long. I think they're going to make this a swift decision. Chudzinski being out was a swift decision. End of the game. By 10 o'clock at night, Chudzinski was gone. So that was a swift move. I expect the head coaching hire of someone in this vacancy to be swift as well. Don't expect the Browns to waste a lot of time in finding their new head coach. But this whole situation, it just went from bad to worse to unbearable. It seemed like overnight. I just don't even realize how we got here. But Rob Chudzinski out as head coach in Cleveland. Now, let's get back to the Steelers. Wow. So you win the game. And it was amazing because last week you were 6-8 and you needed a plethora of things to occur. You needed the Ravens to lose. You needed the Dolphins to lose. You had to win. All of those things happened. So you look around and you say, okay, wow, we got it done. We won. The Ravens lost. The Dolphins lost. We're still alive. Jets gone. Wow, we're still in it. Week 17 means something. So now we got to win. And then we need the Ravens to lose again. We need the Dolphins to lose again. And then we need the Chargers this time to lose. So you come in. You take care of your end of the bargain. You win. You get to 8-8. Now, I had already said 9-7 was going to be the sixth and final wild card berth record. I said, I don't know who's it going to be. I thought it was going to be the Dolphins, and I stayed steadfast to that. So, again, I was wrong, and I'll admit when I was wrong. But I was also right in the same breath by saying 9-7 was going to be the sixth seed. 8-8 wasn't going to cut it. And that's why I thought the Steelers never stood a chance, because 8-8 wasn't going to be good enough. There were too many teams that could finish at 9-7 above them for them to get in at 8-8. But they win, and I knew the Ravens weren't going to win. I had already said that a month ago. They weren't going into the jungle and winning. So I had already written those guys off. So the Ravens lose. They were supposed to. But I thought the Dolphins would win against the Jets at home. No way the Dolphins lay an egg 2 weeks in a row. No way 2 back-to-back stinkers to finish this one up for the Dolphins. Yes way. They go home after stinking it up on the road against Buffalo, and they play even worse, if that's even possible, after coming off of a shutout loss. They play even worse at home with the season on the line and lose to the Jets. So, check, check. Okay, check. You win, check. Raiders lose, check. Dolphins lose, check. Now you just need one more domino to fall into place for the improbable to happen. You need the San Diego Superchargers to lose at home against a team they already beat in the Kansas City Chiefs, who aren't playing 10 players, 8 of which are Pro Bowls. Wow. I'm telling you, the chips are stacked against you if you're the Steelers, but it's been stacked against you this whole time. So all you can do is hold your breath, cross your fingers, watch the TV, and hope that the Kansas City Chiefs backups can do you a huge solid. You're not asking for much. You just need one victory. Just one. And man, you were sweating bullets. You were sitting by the television, and it all came down to a Ryan Suckup field goal with 8 seconds left in the game. And wouldn't you know it, that's the type of year it's been for you as a Steelers fan. It's the type of year it's been. Ryan Suckup pushes the field goal wide right. Now, it comes out later that the Chargers illegally lined up, had too many guys on one side of the line, and it should have been a penalty. He should have got to re-kick it 5 yards up. He probably would have pounded it home, and you would have been in the playoffs. Look, all of that stuff is circumstantial now. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, he missed a field goal. Chargers take it to overtime, and they kick a field goal. They get the defensive stop necessary in overtime to win the game. They go to the playoffs. You go home. What a way to finish out this season. What a way to see your playoff hopes dashed by a missed field goal, by a kicker that's pretty solid. I mean, he's a guy that you can count on week in and week out to pound home field goals. That wasn't a difficult field goal. What are we talking about, 41 yards or so? That's a makeable field goal, one that you expect him to make. And that's what happens when you have to rely on somebody else to do your dirty work. You want something done right, got to do it yourself. Wow. Wow. If you're a Steelers fan, wow. It came down to a kick that was makeable, and they missed. Chargers dodge a bullet. They get into the postseason, and 8-8 isn't good enough. And I said that from the jump. 8-8 wasn't going to be good enough, but who would have thought in Week 17 that the Steelers would be sitting there and waiting for a field goal to go through the uprights to get into the post? Who would think that we would have even gotten to this point where the Steelers would have had a feasible shot at the postseason? But it came down to a field goal, and it just wasn't meant to be, as the Chargers were able to win that game in overtime, get the win, get the playoff berth. Steelers, 8-8, look, if nothing else, Mike Tomlin galvanized the troops, rallied this football team. And I don't think that the talks about this guy's job were even relevant. I haven't made mention of it, and I don't think it's worth mentioning because, to me, Tomlin is a great coach, and I think that he isn't going anywhere. And I didn't think even if you went 6-10 or 7-9, he wasn't going anywhere. But the fact that he rallied the troops, got to 8-8, and had this team within a field goal of going to the postseason speaks volumes. He's not going anywhere. He'll be your coach. And so, great finish to the season for the Steelers that started 0-4. To finish up the season 8-4 and give yourself a shot, that's the best you could ask for. It just fell short, but it is what it is. Again, when you dig yourself a hole, these are the type of things that happen to you down the stretch. Steelers win this game 20-7, get to 8-8, have a shot, but just miss out in the postseason as the Chargers get that final wild card berth. For the Cleveland Browns, find your head coach. Got to go in this draft and find yourself the quarterback of the future. You got plenty of picks. You've been stockpiling them. Time to start unloading those picks and doing some big things. I think this is a talented roster in Cleveland. You just got to find the quarterback first. And I guess before that, first things first, find the head coach. Find the head coach, then the quarterback, and then move on from there. That's going to do it for this installment of In the Lab Room. I thank you for joining me. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here in the Lab Room. Thank you for joining me. Wow. Steelers just missed out on the postseason. Browns fire Rob Chizzinski. What a Week 17 it was for these two teams. Come back. I've got plenty more games to break down in the season finale, week number 17 of the National Football League.